Hi, this is Dan Herrick, and today we're going to be tying a tungsten bead olive pheasant tail nymph. The fellas from Legz asked me to do some tutorials, so I thought I'd do this one. So what we'll do is I'll give you the materials that we're going to be using. We're going to be using lively Legz olive size small. We're going to be using down and dirty tungsten beads in a 3/0 size. We're going to use a lively Legz lip splitter number 720, size 12. We're going to be using hairline olive hare's ear dubbing. We're going to be using pheno skin and a mottled medium dun for the wing case. And we're going to be using hairline olive dyed pheasant ringneck pheasant tail. Also, we're going to be using a 6/0 unithread in an olive. We're going to be using hard as Hall head cement. And one of the most important parts, we're going to be using hairline dubbing wax. So, I'll zoom in on the fly that we're going to be tying. Right there. Here we go. Here's a good look at it. Very good fly, very fishy, excellent color, very good fish catcher. So without further ado, we'll start tying this fly. So what we'll do is I'll zoom back out a little bit. There. Put the hook in like this. I use barb mashers for this little technique. You have a large hole and a small hole. Right there's the small hole. You want to put the small hole in the bead on the hook like this, just makes it easier to do. And the reason you put the small hole in first is so it doesn't slide over the eye of the hook. Alright, so what we're going to do is take our tying thread. Let's get started. Go about halfway down the hook. Snip off the excess. Go to the bend. Take your pheasant tail fibers. Use the mahogany side. This is that right there. Take about 4, maybe 5 fibers. Lay it on your hook shank. You want that a little bit shorter than that. What we'll do, we'll loose wrap. Pull over. There you go. Just so much to the bead. Trim it off. You take your gold rib, tie it in right behind the bead, and start folding it over to the opposite side of the hook from where you're sitting. Take it to the bend. It's important because we're going to do what's called a counter wrap since we're using pheasant tail for a body. So we'll take about 5 fibers, get them lined up, tie them in, lay it at an angle, loose wrap, it'll go right over the top. Wrap your thread forward. Take your pheasant tail, wrap it around. You can use hackle pliers for this, but sometimes I'm in the mood just to do it with my hand. But the hackle pliers will make it easier. So we'll trim off the excess, like so. Then we'll take our rib and we'll counter wrap. The reason you do that is to protect your pheasant tail fibers from toothy critters like trout and to crisscross to make your keep your pheasant tail from unraveling. So what we're doing here, we're going to trim this off with scissors. I don't like the helicopter, as I've said in my past videos. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to take our lively Legz I'm going to show you a little tip. When you cut pheno skin and you want to tie it, you tie it to the same width as the stem. Right here, right there's the stem in the middle. You take your lively legs and lay that on top, like so. Your legs won't fold over. So what you do is you lay that pheno skin right on top, loose wrap. You can manipulate a little bit to keep it to stay on top. Secure it with some wraps, like so. That should be pretty good right there. Now, here's where our dubbing wax comes in handy. Put it on your index finger and your thumb. Now we're going to take a tiny little bit. Pull most of the guard hairs out. We don't really need those. And that little bit of fur that's called puppy fur or secondary fur, that's what we're going to use here to cover our area where the thorax is. And you want to make this pretty tight, and you can slide it right up the hook. We're going to wrap this, just remember, not very much, just lightly. All we're doing is giving a base for our lively legs to sit on so they don't twist when you tie them in. Now, if you're an intermediate tyer, advanced tyer, it's not a problem. You could probably just do it without that, but it just makes it easier to lay your lively legs in. So what we're going to do here, I'll give you the parts of the lively leg. So what we have here is the front tab, the front legs, the second legs, and the back legs, and then back where my tweezers are, that's the tab you want to, that's the back tab that you grab hold of when you want to cut those back legs off. So what we're going to do here, we're going to lay it in the front, right behind that tab, right there behind the bead. Give it a couple good wraps, like so. Go right behind the first set, and in between the first and second one, make 2 wraps. Pull it down, then go just behind that second set, right behind them. 2 wraps. Go back to the middle. Pull it down. Now here's where you can adjust your legs. What your legs should look like is this. Couple wraps. So what we're going to do is take the tab on the back, pull it up, lay it on top of your wing case, making sure you don't cut that. Take your front tab, pull up, lay it on the bead and snip it. So what you have should look like this. I can pan in on it a little bit. You can see that. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our dubbing, and I'll take this wax between my index finger and my thumb, rub it together. Now remember, we want a little bit of a rough thorax, so we're going to pick out a lot of the long stuff, the guard hairs, and we're going to make a nice little tight dub, because we're going to pick it out with a little brush that I have. Okay, we're going to start in the back, maybe 1 or 2, 2 wraps. 2 wraps in the middle. We'll tighten that up a little bit. 2 wraps in the middle. Pull your front legs back. 1 wrap right behind the bead. There we go. Check for some long fibers. You can pull them out with your barb crusher or your tweezers, or you can take your scissors and trim them. With some of these real long hairs, you don't really need those in there. Okay, so now we've got that. We're pretty much set. If you look, got a nice looking thorax. What we're going to do is we're going to take and fold over our wing case, pull it a little snug, go right behind the bead with 2 or 3 wraps. We'll go 3. 1, 2, 3. Pull it backwards, couple wraps, pull it down, put a little pressure. You don't want to sit here and cut this like this. You want to pull it up, give it a snip. Pull your legs back. 1, 2, 3, 4 wraps. We'll take the whip finisher and go 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Nice little tug. Never cut through your thread. Push your scissors through your thread. Alright, what we're going to do is, you can take anything you want, a little dubbing brush, but what I have is a little dubbing tweed, a 22 caliber brush. You just barely have to just pick out some of the fibers. Some of them might be long, we can trim them off. Right there. You have a lively Legz, tungsten, olive, beadhead nymph, and we'll take our head cement, touch it on top, touch it on bottom, and there you have it. Tight lines, tight wraps, good fishing.